welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me on this afternoon. I promise this is going to be more open session. I do have things that I want y'all to do and work through, but the very first thing is let me kind of go through the agenda of how this session is going to flow. We're going to do a quick introduction. I want to just introduce myself again one more time. We're going to do an account check, just making sure y'all have the tools ready, downloaded. You don't have to have the pro membership for the pro account in Claude yet if you're still kind of testing the waters out, but you can still get by with the free account on some of the things that we're going to do. I do have some other prompts or instructions per se that I'm gonna share with y'all if you want to start applying. Those do require you to have the pro account for Claude because you have to enable them in CoWork, and CoWork is only a feature that's in the paid Claude version. So we're gonna walk through the tools real quick. I'm gonna give you a quick connectors tool. And then we're going to do hands-on. So I have a list of different prompts. We're going to start very basic, very simple, and then we're going to have fun with it. Okay. So again, my name is Jorge Rodriguez. I run operations here at the Nadia CPA Inner Circle. I work very closely with Nadia because she is my wife. So she is my boss. She tells me what to do and when she needs it done by, and I just have to get to work. And then I also am a full-time photographer. So I use a lot of the things that I'm going to teach here. I implemented both here inside the firm and also with my own photography business. I run that business by myself, so I do get a lot of inquiries and not enough time where I now use Claude to help me reply to my clients because I've trained it on how I communicate, how I say things, or I've even given it a library of what to look for when somebody asks a specific question. I'm implementing this myself in my Go High Level. If anybody's heard of Go High Level, it's a CRM where I get a lot of intakes. I could do email marketing. I could do client communication, text message. And they recently created a connector for Go High Level where now I can just kind of create whatever I have in my mind and have it automatically pushed out to Go High Level without me having to do that task. So really, like I mentioned in the session on Tuesday, if you know how to text, you know how to use Claude. And we're going to walk through that right now. So the next screen is, and if you want to add in the chat or chime in, let me know, who here currently has Claude, like either a free account or a pro account? Just let me know in the chat. Okay, Natalia, free account. Okay, Lisa, I got you. Naomi, okay. Perfect. If you don't have a Claude account, okay, I want y'all to go to this link, and I'm going to drop the link in the chat. So now that we have the free account, who here has the Claude plugin, which is this little guy here? So it's more of a extension on your web browser. So I know they have the extension for sure on Chrome. I use Chrome for everything, but if you don't have, I don't know if they have it on Bing. If you use Bing, who here uses Chrome and has the extension? Okay. All right, so we have some people typing in. I see that. Okay, so if you don't have the extension, what you can do is in Claude, if you have the free account, what I do is I will just type in, how can I get the Chrome extension? I get the Chrome extension. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing this, y'all, is because I want everybody to have the tools ready so that way you understand how to use it differently. Uh, it gives me the install connection right there. So for me, since I already have it installed, it's there. But if you want to just go to the Chrome web store and just type in Claude. Once you get Claude, it'll download it and plug it in up here. I have mine pinned. So whenever you, for example, you have a different extensions, I would pin it because I want it just to be quickly referenced. So the purpose of Claude extension, for those that may not know or who uses it within the web browser, Marty, I see that you use it on your phone. I don't see the extension here. I don't know if in the mobile device there's the Chrome extension. So for today, I think we're going to just reference the plugin. within the desktop. But I come in here, I open the side conversation. It is the chat box. So the difference between the extension and the desktop version is that you don't have to necessarily be on that website. And there's a lot of times that I'm doing some research on specific websites that I wanted to help me analyze what I'm looking at. So instead of me going and copying and pasting the website and going to the web page, right, the .ai website, I just open the extension. I come in, I open the extension, and I ask it, help me analyze, help me review this page. What is it? Right? Simple. Right now, I'm just going to start with very simple because I start getting really deep into the conversation. And sometimes when I ask it certain things, it just really analyzes what I'm asking before it provides me the answer or the response that I'm looking at. Claude is always going to ask you, hey, I'm going to actually look at your website. Are you okay with it? I'm going to read the content. I'm going to possibly take a screenshot to analyze it. You can either approve it or deny it. So that's totally up to you. It's not going to go anywhere else. And you'll notice that Claude, whenever you open the extension, it creates like a little brim around that tab. That's an indication that it's only looking at that specific tab. It's not going through any other tab. So at the very top, all these other tabs don't have that little brim, but this one has like a little dark color brim right around it. So that's my telltale sign that Claude is only working on this particular page. So I'm just going to say go for it. And while it's doing that, some of the ways that I use it for is, for example, like I mentioned earlier with my photography business, I'll have clients send me emails and I open my Google email and I have it analyze the email and tell me how can I word it, or I'll tell it this is what I'm thinking and help me put it in a polite way or in a softer tone or a more direct tone, because if it's something that I need immediately, I need to be a little bit more direct. But I don't want to sound passive aggressive or mean, or just, the tone in itself. I may be having a rough day. I don't want that to come out across in my email, because people read email, take the tone, and it's like, wow, he's having a bad day. I don't want that. So I have it analyze my emails, and then it does, and then I quickly create a softer more polite version of what I really want to say. But here, as y'all saw, it took a couple seconds. It's really indicating this is a Microsoft page listing for the Claude Anthropic Excel page. So this is one of the plugins that we're going to plug in if you use Excel, right? And it tells me a little bit more about it. So, and if I don't want to read through the entire thing, it just gives me the bullet points. Here are some of the key features. Here's some quick recommendation. So it gives me a shortcut tip. So if I want to open the full page in the Claude app, I just hit Control Option C. I'm a Mac user. I'm sure if you're a Windows user, it will detect your keyboard and it'll give you those prompts if you want to start using short keys. I'm a fan of short keys. I don't have time to be drilling down and going here. If I know the short key and it's on my keyboard, I am pressing that to just get me where I need to be. So that is one of the ways that we use the extension here. Multiple ways that we can use it. Some examples again: reading email, setting up reminders, or just giving me a quick recap of what am I looking at here. Any questions so far? I want to make sure that I have time to answer questions, or curious about something if you want to know something extra about this particular feature. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to make sure is that within that, plugin downloads that we're doing, as y'all saw earlier, who here uses Microsoft products like Outlook, Excel, Word? Okay, I see Lisa, and I see Lisa, you have your hand up. So if I have my presentation here with everybody, if I don't see your hand, feel free to jump in. Right, I won't get upset. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. I'm looking at a different screen here. But Lisa, what's up with your question?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everybody. So my question is, when I went to click on the Claude extension thing, I'm sorry if I didn't pay attention, do we need to get the Claude Pro for the extension to be on our Google Chrome?
No. As long as you had, did it give you a prompt to for you to sign in?
Pues I had just like barely got it with my email right now
Yeah,
as you were speaking, and then I went to and I entered how do I get the extension, and I clicked, pero no salió. Like,
gotcha. So you just opened your account with Claude, correct?
mhm.
Okay, and I'm assuming you're on the web browser because we haven't even talked about downloading the desktop version.
Oh
Um,
yeah, okay,
so if you're on the website version, one, make sure you're logged in to the website version.
yeah,
Okay. Second, when you go to the Claude extension on Chrome, I'm assuming you're using Chrome, correct?
yes.
So when you go to the Chrome Web Store, um, it should let me sign out. Okay. I don't need to do all these other things. I'm gonna sign out. Are you 18? Yes. Please don't make me ask a million questions. Oh man. All right. Next. And I'm just gonna sign back in. Okay. Submit. No questions. So we're gonna go into Chrome Web Store. I'm gonna look for Claude since I signed out of it. Okay. So you're at this stage, right? Did you add it to Chrome?
I didn't even get that far. I just like apparently I already installed it, and luego dice when I went to click it, now it says remove from Chrome. So it must be in my Chrome. I just can't see it somewhere.
It's
Okay.
in
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's
it,
hidden. So what you're sorry.
it's
Uh,
I just figured out because I did the same because there's a detail, click the detail, then you turn on the extension in the menu bar, pin to the bars, and it will show up.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's correct. Yeah, so that's what I meant to what I mentioned earlier, that you have to pin it. So once you add it, it gives you this welcome. It's in your Chrome. You have to go to this little on the top right here. It looks like a little puzzle piece where it says
Okay.
extensions. If you hover over that, click on
Oh,
it,
see.
it's going to open up a list, right? And then you'll
Uh-huh.
see this little like it looks like a pin that you have to pin it.
Yeah.
Now you have it pinned.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That
and
was
then
all.
from of course, and then from there, you're gonna have to go through like, hey, this is beta. I understand. It's gonna ask you a couple things.
Okay.
It kind of highlights what I already mentioned earlier, that it groups the tabs and then highlights the one it's working on, and it's just really kind of giving you some more information. After that, you're good.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
a little quick note on this. Um, for those that are ChatGPT users, right? Those they have the different speeds and versions. Currently, the Sonnet and the Opus 4.7 is the fast version. Okay. Now the 4.7 is more capable for ambitious work. So I use 4.7 a lot because I do a lot of coding for my website. But you can get by with 4.6. I bring this to everybody's attention because the difference between Claude and ChatGPT, Claude is by token base. So, and I'll get into that a little bit more here in a few seconds when I jump into the desktop version. But Claude is on a token based usage. So if ChatGPT, you can work with it all day, every day, and it doesn't run out. It doesn't put you in timeout per se. But when you're on the free version, it gives you a certain amount of tokens. I don't know the exact number. Um, we can look into what those tokens are, but it's basically for usage. So if you're on the free version, I'm just going to use this as an example. It's going to give you roughly around 10,000 tokens. And those tokens, you can create emails, you can draft a engagement letter, you can create a proposal, whatever. But every task has a different token usage. So depending on the task, depends on how much token it's going to need or require to complete that task.
Yeah,
Now,
so yeah, okay, just quick. Right now I'm in
yeah,
the free version, so I have that extension pinned to the bar. However, there's a login box say, okay, this Claude in Chrome is available to all paid plan subscribers. So when I click login, so basically I have to subscribe first.
okay, so they must have changed that.
Yeah,
It must have changed the plugin itself to be for the subscribers
yeah,
version. Thank you for calling that out, Julia, because I remember when I did this a few months ago, it was included. I guess because they were promoting it. Now they're like, hey, we're gonna lock it down because everybody's using it.
right.
But if once you become the pro member, which I believe is $20 a month, and there's no month to month. I mean, they have a year subscription, but we're month to month because AI changes so much. But I think we found our tool for the firm that we're going to be using for a while. But yes, like I was saying, the tokens are being used based on the session, and if you're going for hours and hours and you run out of token, it basically tells you, hey, take a break. You can start using Claude again in 2 hours, right? Your tokens will refresh and then you can continue to work. And I'll dive into that in a little bit here once we get into more of that within the desktop itself. So now going back to the reference, where to go? Okay, who here has downloaded the desktop version? If you haven't, that's fine. You can go to Claude.ai/download, and that page should look like this. Depending on what you use, I know Marty said he uses the mobile version. I use the mobile version, but I just use it for chat. So I use the chat options whenever I want to reply to somebody from a text message. But here, download whichever version applies to you. If you're unsure, please let me know. Then I can kind of do a quick research on the type of computer, the model, the bones inside of it, and then I can give, especially if you're a Windows, because I see there's 2 Windows versions. But if you're a Mac user like myself, there's only one option, and just download that one. But if you're unsure, send me a DM and we can kind of walk through it. Now, let's talk a little bit about the desktop version. Okay. Let me see here. I kind of skipped through around some of these. So we did the install version. Here's some instructions for the install. It's just like installing any application. You don't need to have any coding or any other tools other than just download it, click on it, and it's going to give you the instructions on how to download, how to install it onto your workstation. Any questions before we move forward? Hi, Dorley. Any questions, anybody? Hopefully everybody, I'm not going too fast for y'all. I'm just trying to kind of respect everybody's time, but kind of get through this as well so we can get to the play part. We're good? Awesome. Okay. So now we are on the desktop version. So for those that haven't seen the desktop version, I am going to bring the desktop version over here and I'm going to make it big. Okay. So inside the desktop version is where you find the real fun. And yes, for the desktop version, if you want to use the other parts of the application like CoWork, and we'll dive into CoWork, or the code part, which if you're a coder, this is your spot. If you don't know how to code, no worries. CoWork or code does that for you, but you do have to have a little bit of understanding of terminology and some of the keywords that are used to code. But now let's talk about the settings. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, in your billing section, if you want to find out, not the billing, the usage. The usage section is part of where you can kind of see how much you've been using throughout the day. So today has been a fairly relaxed day for me. Been running around. My daughter got her braces taken off this morning, so we were at the orthodontist for a couple hours. But by now, here at 1:30 in Dallas, Texas, I would have been at 75% of usage, meaning that I strictly work inside CoWork to help me do a lot of the tasks. But as you can see here, it has the session reset time. So if I were to get to 100%, once I hit the 100% of my usage, in 4 hours and 15 minutes, I can go ahead and play, which is kind of cool because then if I'm working that much behind the computer for that many hours, it's kind of like, okay, hey, take a break, get up, go for a walk, come back, do something else, and then continue playing. But then I am in the max plan, which is the one that I have 5 times more usage. Nadia is on the pro plan, which is the $20 plan. I have to pay for the $100 ones because I do so much work behind it that me taking a 4-hour break really kind of holds me back or just slows me down. So I'd rather pay for that extra usage because I know I'm going to get through it. Now, as you're growing and you're learning and you're like, wow, this is really cool. I'm like finding myself using Claude a lot to do tasks every day. Then you can just bump it up. But that will be a decision for you if you feel that you needed. For the most part, the $20 plan, Nadia never runs out of tokens, and she uses it a lot as well. Also here, if you're one of those that I'm working on a big project and I need to get it done now, and I don't have 4 hours to wait if I've met my limit, then you can enable the extra usage feature, which it'll start charging you based on what you're doing. So it's fairly cheap. I think $5 gets you through a project. But that's if you're like, I need to finish this project now because I need to deliver within 20 minutes. You turn on this little extra usage feature, and then it basically starts kind of pay to play. Any questions on this before I move on to the next scene? And I'm just kind of checking the chat here. Okay, I'll come back on this. If anybody else has anything, please feel free to just chime in.
No meeting.
Oh.
The meeting starts at 3.
Okay, so moving on. Let's go ahead and go to the connectors. I know that's one thing that a lot of people were asking during the session last time. So who here uses Google Workspace for their everyday work, whether it's Gmail, Google Drive? Okay, Lisa does. If you do, this is the fun part, because this is the connectors where it communicates with those applications. Now, what you're seeing here are the applications that I currently have connected for my own session. Nadia has different ones that she uses. So it really depends on which apps you want to use the most. I personally have Canva connected. So when we create designs, I create a design in Canva. It creates a hyperlink. I bring it back into Claude and say, connect to my Canva connector, giving it the instruction. Here's the link. On this task, I want to change the color and the text. Analyze it and give me some of your feedback. And it goes in and connects, and it starts analyzing, and it comes back with feedback. And it says, it looks great. Maybe let's just change the text to a different one because this is too curvy or too wavy, or let's bump up the text. And you just start communicating with it, right? That's kind of the purpose of the connectors. The same thing with Gmail. And I have a prompt for all you Gmail users that want to try a connector. Again, the connectors are part of the Pro plan. So if you do want to play with these connectors and see its potential, you do have to get into the Pro plan, which is $20. But you connect to your Gmail, and I'm going to give it a prompt, which I'll share with y'all here in a second. But just a very quick overview is, tell me what's going on with my email. Did I miss anything important? It starts analyzing, looking, like, yeah, you have one missed email from client so-so that is requesting an update on their status. Okay, and now you have that as a awareness. You go and look at that email and you take care of it. Because what happened in the past before we started using connectors, we started missing important notifications, and emails wouldn't get touched for about a week or so because it gets lost in the noise with everything else. Drink some water. Excuse me. So we started looking at the missing information and missing important emails that when we started implementing the connectors, it started notifying, and I'll show you an example of that. And he is asking, I use Claude. Which paid plan do you recommend? The individual one or for the team on the enterprise? Okay, that's a really good question. So let's talk about the pricing real quick. Billing. Let's see, adjust plan. Okay. Okay. So if it's just you by yourself, I would go with the individual pro. Okay. The reason why is the max is really if you're using it very heavily, where you're doing a lot of tasks within Claude. And you'll learn that the more you use it and you're like, okay, I'm running out of, my session is ran out, I gotta wait a little bit longer. And you feel like, you know what, I don't have time, then you could bump up to the max like I do, because I have to consistently be going and creating. But for everybody that is just starting, I always recommend start off with the free one. Just use the chat, see how it communicates and talks to you. Then move on to the pro version, which after that, it gives you the capability of CoWork, and it has higher usage limits. Now, for teams, unless you have a firm that has multiple teams, then I don't recommend that, because you have to have a minimum of 5 seats. So you're paying 5 seats times 20. So that means every person on your team has to have one and be using it. So if you have less than 5 people on your team and you're not planning to use it, then the team route is not the way to go. And of course, enterprise is for those larger corporations. If your firm is large and you want to start incorporating this with everybody to start using, then that's the route you might want to go with. But if it's just you, solo practitioner, doing the individual, the $20 a month gets you by. If you fall in love with it so much and you're like, you know what, I see myself using this for my firm for the future, I want to save a little bit of money, then go with the yearly plan, as it brings it down to $17 per month when you pay one lump sum. So those are the two different routes to go if you're interested in, choosing which one or the other. Now, let's talk about, let's see here where we were at. Oh, connectors. Let me go back to it real quick, because I want to just show this before we move on. There is a connector store here. So who here uses a project manager like Asana or Notion? We use a Notion in our firm, because since it's a team of 3, we create tasks for everyone to kind of do different things. So if you don't have like a project management system, like on what tasks are due or what are like a to-do list, Dubsado, Lisa says. Okay, so let me see. Is there a connector for Dubsado? So we just type it in. Okay. So currently there is not a connector for Dubsado, but they are actively adding new connectors every single day. There's connectors. I don't know what this is. This is a Datadog. There's every single day I see that they're actively adding new connectors. So, for example, the other day I think I saw one for TurboTax. So there's into a TurboTax connector. What it does, I don't know, because I don't have it connected. But this was a new one that they added. I personally use Notion. So we have our Notion connected. If you're learning, let's see, Zapier, if you have Zapier integrated into your workflow, you have a Zapier connection. So there's different connectors within there. And I know there's a lot that are growing. I personally submitted one for TaxDome, because TaxDome has a public or a private API, a code, so that way you can connect to it. So I just submitted it and see what happens, because if you're a TaxDome user like we are, it can get a little tricky trying to automate things and make your life a little bit easier. But here myself, again, we're going to go with Google Drive and Slack. So I'm going to kind of share some of the ways I use these, okay? Now, as I mentioned earlier, chat. There's the chat box. Let's type in anything. And I do have some prompts here that I'm going to share with everybody. And for those that have the Claude web version connected, let me get some prompts over to y'all. But I have a list here that I'm going to share, and I'll send the link here in the chat box. Let me see here where we at. There it is. Excuse me. Okay. So the first thing I want everyone to do, okay, if you don't have a brand voice, the very first thing I want us to do, and inside the chat, I put in the Google Doc, is I want us to start creating a brand voice. This brand voice is going to be used for you to really tell Claude how, 1, you communicate, 2, what your tone is, 3, really get it to know who you are, right? Because the purpose of Claude is not to just give you responses, but to understand who you are, so it could better tailor responses for you. Compared to ChatGPT, for those ChatGPT users, it gives you very quick responses. It may even sound very copy and paste type of response, right? And for all of us that use ChatGPT over a time, you seem to notice when somebody else is using ChatGPT, right? We all know the famous M dashes. We all know how sometimes it says, like, I have never said dear in my emails. Hello, dear. You start picking up on things versus Claude understands who you are. And this prompt that I added here should help you. And I'm going to bring it over here. It's a brand voice builder, right? And this is what it's going to ask of you. So how to use it? We open up the Claude chat. We copy everything below. Claude's going to ask us some questions, and I'm going to do mine. At the same time, I want y'all to do yours. We're going to practice. We're going to put into practice what we're learning today. And when we finish, Claude's going to create a short voice profile and a final master prompt. So we're going to save this prompt. We're going to paste it, or we're going to save the file somewhere, and we can use it later on again. And you'll see how we're going to use it later on again. So as I'm doing mine on live demo, I want y'all to practice with y'all. So just from where it says the prompt, you are my brand voice coach, copy all that all the way to the bottom. And one of the things that I have it do is ask me my questions first, which is the very last part. In this prompt, I specifically told it what I need, but I also don't want it to just make up things for me. Ask me about me. So as we're copying, I'm going to paste mine here. I want y'all to do the same thing. And if you run into any questions, feel free to ask. But I'm going to work through mine because I have a brand voice, but I felt like my first brand voice was not really who I am. So the thing about prompts is you got to use and refine. And I also don't let Claude just kind of give me a yes answer and move on. Like, I have a conversation with it. So it says, to kick us off, tell me about you, who you are, what you do, and who you serve. And I'm going to be showing everybody. So excuse my bad typing, okay? I'm a wedding photographer based out of Dallas. And the cool thing is, if you don't want to type and push, I'll probably show y'all right now. It has the option to do voice. So let me just do this here. I'm going to record the voice. Hey, Claude, I am a wedding photographer based out of Dallas. I've been in the industry for about 15 years. I serve the Latino community, and I also am a quinceañera photographer. I would like to create a brand voice that really understands my tone. I am very friendly, easy to talk to, and one of the fun things that I like to do is teach other people how to use Claude. So can you help me create a brand voice that feels natural, easygoing, so that way whenever I use it for future reference, you understand who I am? Okay, it was that easy. Saves me time on typing. And the cool thing about it is that it gives you feedback. Like, cool, I like 15 years of photography, deeply rooted. I don't feel deeply rooted. I feel old. I guess that's a nice way for it to tell me that I'm old. Okay. So now, because in the prompt itself, I asked it to ask questions, it's going to ask me 8 questions. So who is actually reading and seeing your content more often? And I'm going to do the same thing just for the sake of saving time. Now, is anybody giving it some kind of the same response based on the prompt that I gave y'all the copy? Sorry about that. I got something in my throat. It's okay. You know, if it's giving you something different, that's the whole purpose. The whole purpose of Claude is not a cookie cutter type of program that it gives the same canned response to everybody. So let's dig in. I'm going to answer this question here. Mainly the people or my audience, my client avatar that's looking for my services are usually families who are planning a quinceañera or recently engaged couples who are planning their wedding day. The ones that really attract my services are who like candid moments, who like dark and moody style photography, and just the easygoing experience. So as I'm giving it my response, I'm going to keep moving down the process as we're answering. It starts really kind of understanding now who I am. Now, here's the second question. When somebody finishes reading your caption, emails, or posts, do they walk away feeling or thinking of like doing, okay. So when they finish reading my captions, the goal is to make sure that my story resonates for what they're looking for in a photographer. And I use photography a lot because for me, it's easier to speak the photography language versus the text language. Of course, I want y'all to use your own tone, your own scenarios to answer your questions, because this is going to help you create your master prompt. Okay, fill the connection. Do you want to do it next? Send a message. For now, I'm just doing this as a demo. So just help me create my brand voice based on what your understanding of me. I think we're good with asking any further questions. So just help me create the prompt so I can move on. And I honestly like the voice part because it really understands what I'm trying to tell it. And I don't want to type. Like I mentioned earlier, if I could find a shortcut to get me out of this situation, then I'm going to do it. And here we go. So here is my master prompt. And if once you're done with yours, feel free, keep working on it. That's the whole purpose of this session, making sure everybody just kind of gets some time to play and test out what they're learning today. Here's my brand voice. It gives me the brand voice of what I'm doing. What to avoid. Avoid stiff or corporate language. I don't like talking or speaking corporate, overly polished, fake sounding, pushy self talk. That's not me. So it really understands who I am. And now it's saying the instructions. So when I give you the task below in this prompt, write in this very voice every time. And if I ask for something else, does that do not fit this voice, ask me before switching. So you see now the power of creating your brand voice. And why is it important to create your brand voice? Because you can start using your brand voice when you're communicating in an email to a client, or you're creating a proposal that is customized and you want it to sound like you, but you don't want to spend hours typing a engagement letter or a proposal. Or if you're creating more social media content, another good way that we use it here is for Nadia's firm clients. She has them on biweekly newsletter where we're sending them newsletter updates just because we want to stay in the conversation with them and not just show up during tax season. Our goal is to switch our clients from just a once a year meeting into the advisory service. So the more we're in their face or in their inbox per se, I don't want to say their face because we're not literally in their face, but the more we're in their inbox, the more that we're going to still be in the back of their mind. And the more they're going to be like, oh, I remember Nadia said this in one of her emails. Let me go back and read it. And then they'll start really noticing the value that she's bringing to her advisory clients, which then later transitions that once a year to either a monthly, quarterly, or 2 times a year advisory client. And that's the goal, right? That's the goal with her, that she wants to have clients where she can meet with multiple times throughout the years. So that's the main reason why you want to have this brand voice. Of course, don't let it settle if your brand changes, or if you're like, it's creating the messages, but it doesn't really sound like me. Then you can come back here and fine tune it. And you can actually type inside of Claude. Oops, this is the chat version. But within the CoWork version, this box in here, it gives you the opportunity to put your cursor in there and actually do real-time typing. Next step would do once you got your final brand voice, completed. The next thing is that you want to save it as a PDF. Save it as a PDF because I'm going to show you how to transition this brand voice into a functioning email using CoWork. And if you don't have CoWork yet, at least you'll kind of get the visual of what and how you can use it. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to export it as a PDF. And Nadia asked me this question the other day. Why do we have to export it to PDF? Well, it gives you two options. You can either do it into a Google file or a Google document or a PDF. But she's like, why can't you use Microsoft Word? Well, Microsoft is a proprietary software that doesn't give Claude the permission to create a file on behalf of Word. So because Google is an open source, that's why Google allows you to create a Google Doc. And PDF is just a worldwide file type. So if you're wanting it to create a Word document or an Excel sheet, it won't create it because of Microsoft, but it will create a Google Sheets, a Google Docs, or a PDF. So the PDF, we're going to have it create a PDF. And while it does this, I want to hear from y'all. How was y'all's brand voice? Did the prompt that it gave you really sound like you, or did it just, not really, but we can work on it? Let me know and chime in, because I want to hear y'all and see if it's really working for y'all. Okay, Lisa's working on it right now. Perfect. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so right now what it's doing, it's creating a PDF for me. That's all the code. It's writing it for me to give me one pretty file at the very end. So it's not just going to give you some random text document. It's actually creating a nice clean version of it, so that way I can reuse this prompt, this file, in other parts of Claude. Now, here's the part where I mentioned earlier. You can either save it as a Google Drive, or you can open it as a PDF. And as you guys can see here on the preview, it gives you a preview of a clean output. I didn't ask it to do none of this. I didn't ask it to create me a header, a brand voice at a glance. It did it on its own because it understood the assignment. And one cool thing that I like about this, that if you don't like the color tones or the layout or design, or if within your company you already have a certain brand, colors, text, fonts, etc., you can actually tell it, here's my brand colors, use it for this document, because these are now going to be official documents that we're going to be sharing with clients, and we want our brand to be the same across all platforms, whether it's on the website, on social media, or even documents, whether external or internal documents. I want the brand to be the same across, so you can really tell it. I don't know why it picked black and yellow for me. I guess because I was using a different project. Remember, mine shows a little bit more advanced because I've been using it so much that it has an internal memory that it knows that I like black and yellow. So the more you're using it, the more it's going to remember, oh, you like this certain type of font, you like this certain type of colors, you talk in this certain direction. If y'all remember, for those that were part of the Claude session on Tuesday, I ran a real prompt in real time asking about the car deduction. And the prompt gave me a bunch of really good responses. And at the very end, it said, but since you work with Nadia CPA, I highly recommend you go talk to her and go get answers from her, right? And I had nothing to mention anything that I work with Nadia, right? But because it has memory, it remembered that, hey, you work with Nadia. Why are you asking me? Go ask a real CPA. So that's one thing that I do want to caution y'all. When it comes to like tax advice, be very careful, double check everything. But when it comes to creating documents like this, just give it a good go, and you're good to go with what it produces if you're happy with it. So in this situation, I'm just going to download it. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Okay, let's see here. Any questions so far while this machine continues thinking?
You're amazing.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you. I hope you're learning, and I hope it's working out. I mean, I hope y'all are putting some of the work in, because this is going to be cool. We're just taking little baby steps, and I'm looking at the time. I'm like, oh, there's just so much, and I just want to teach y'all everything, but it's just little baby steps. Okay, so we're moving on. All right. So once you guys get your brand voice created, this is the fun part. Let me get out of this section here. Now we're going to move into CoWork. Now, who here has, for the pro users, the pro Claude users, who here has used CoWork in the past? If you've kind of messed with it, kind of know what it is, but haven't really played with it. If you really have used CoWork in the past, give me a thumbs up because I want to know where my CoWork users are at, because those are the ones that are really going to understand this entire process. If you don't, that's totally fine. I am going to take it one little step at a time. But in a nutshell, in essence, what CoWork is basically like your personal assistant. You give it tasks, you give it projects, you give it schedules to follow, and it does it for you on your behalf. Of course, it asks for permission at times. If it's a specific task, like go through my emails, and if you tell it, hey, I need you to delete all my spam email, it's going to ask for permission. Or one of the two things that I'm going to show off here in a second is how to clean up my desktop and how to create a schedule for what's in my inbox. But for now, real quick, let's see here. We are going to create a project. So for those that created your brand voice, this is where CoWork comes in. In a project, I tell everybody that I talk to about Claude is think about it like you're the chef and the project is like your recipe book, where you're going to bring a bunch of different files together to create a special project or a special meal or a cake, whatever you want to call it. So in our project is where we store different things like if you have your logos, if you have your brand voice, if you have a PDF file or a spreadsheet that you wanted to analyze for you, we create the special cookbook or a project where then we drop in those files and then we start communicating with Claude. So if you have the pro version, follow me along, play along, do the same thing. So we're going to create a brand new project. So what we're going to do in our projects on our side panel here, there's a couple options. So there's a new task, which opens up a brand new text box. There's projects where we can create a project. There's schedule, and we'll talk about how you can schedule an email notification. And then these other 2-3 different options that I really haven't used, but I've really heard good things about them. But for now, let's work on a new project. So we're going to go into project. We're going to select a new project. And we're going to create, I'm going to use a existing folder. Now, I don't have an existing folder yet, but I'm just going to create a brand new one in my desktop. So I'm going to call this test. I'm just going to call it brand voice, since we're sticking with brand voice. Okay. Now, that brand voice file that we created earlier, I'm going to go look for it on my desktop. And I'm just going to drop it into where it says brand voice. That's not what I wanted to do. Give me 1 second. Desktop. New folder. Brand. Just call it brand. Okay. There it is. So now that I have this file inside my brand voice folder, that's not the voice. ¿Qué estás haciendo? What are you doing? There it is. Copy, paste. Okay. Now that I'm telling Claude in CoWork, hey, we're going to start a new project. I'm going to call it, for this scenario, brand. Call it whatever project you're working on. We're going to open. Now it understands that I'm going to work out of this specific folder. I'm not going to do anything else, but whatever you give me in this folder, I want you to work out of, okay? And the other thing that I'm going to add on here in this folder, now that we're at it, I'm going to add my headshot. So I know I have a headshot somewhere around here because I'm going to create a about me in 2 seconds. Let's see here, desktop, documents, JR. Now with me, I try to stay as organized as I can, but it's a little bit hard at times because life happens. But if you know where all your stuff is at, perfect. Oh, there's my logo. Let's go with that one. Demo version. And let's go with a headshot. Okay, now who here has their headshots updated? If you don't have a headshot updated, definitely find your headshot, the best one you want, so you can create one. So everybody following along still? Okay, I'm gonna look at the chat. It says, what about privacy? What security does Claude offer? Do they share the data you show them? So that's a very, very good question, Marty. Let me just stop and address that real quick. So when it comes to the security, you do have to enable or disable the privacy settings. So I currently, excuse me, I personally don't disable it because I don't share any client data when I'm working. Now, I highly recommend not to upload any unredacted files if you're wanting to do that. I will let Nadia speak more about that in the next session, because she doesn't even upload any client data on here to work, right? So if you're working out of a client folder and you're trying to analyze and give a report for one of your advisory clients, I highly recommend that obviously protect the client's data at first, redact any information. But as far as like the privacy settings, it does have like, those, like, we're gonna probably, if something breaks or it gets hung up, we're gonna push that up to our Claude development team to figure out why it got hung up, so it improves the system so it doesn't get hung up or freeze or crash. But you can disable those if you don't want none of your data and your information to remain private. You just go and disable the location metadata. That's where whatever you type in stays locally. But if your app is crashing consistently, then you have to enable that so it pushes the logs, the Claude data logs out to the Claude development team to fix. But if you're concerned about privacy, I would suggest to disable this. They also have the privacy center and the privacy policy on there that you can kind of overview. But like I mentioned, what we use it mainly for is really just to help improve processes. But we never share client data or information on here that is not redacted. Hopefully that answered that question. Okay, so let's get back to the brand. Okay, create a one-page brand voice about me using my logo and headshot, and tell something about me. So remember when we were having that conversation earlier, I told it I was in the industry for 15 years. I specialize on weddings and quinceañeras and yada, 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 right? So all that information was captured in my brand voice PDF. Now, because I fed that PDF over to Claude in that one folder, now it's going into the brand folder. Like it says right there, I'll take a look at what's in your brand folder first so I can build something that fits your existing voice. It's going to go and analyze that. It's going to read that document without me having to re-explain myself to it again. So that's the beauty about having that one brand voice. Now, it's going to ask a couple of questions, like what format works best? For now, I just want a PDF one page. Okay. Who is this page about mainly speaking to? I'm just going to say mixed audience, anybody. I want it short and punchy. So it does give you, that's the one thing I like about it. It gives you questions to ask. It asks you questions to better clarify what it wants it to do. Okay. Now, while it's doing that, I do want to share another prompt here before we continue. And I hope this information is kind of giving you an insight of what it's doing in the inside. And if you find this useful, please let me know. If you want to see a use case scenario that you're thinking on how to implement it into your firm, please, by all means, let me know. Drop it in the chat or just come off mute and let me know, because I would love to share as much as I can. And I know I'm already at the 2:00 hour. If I will continue going, because I would like to share more and show more. But if you have to step out, this session is recorded and will be posted in the session chat after we're done. But if you want to hang out and learn a little bit more, by all means, I'll be here hanging out with y'all for a little bit more. Okay. So while it's doing that, now let me find the brand voice that I was looking for. Okay, so in the chat, I am going to drop a couple other different prompts that you can use and play with. So there's a list of different items that you can test within your chat. These are all chat related. So feel free to copy and paste and just kind of let Claude do its thing for you. And now, it took me longer, honestly, to find that link that I was looking for it to create this brand voice. Now, it gives me a quick recap of here's your one pager ready and save straight to your brand folder. So I don't have to go digging for it. It's telling me exactly where it is because we told it in this folder I want you to work out of. Now, I haven't seen it. So let's see what it looks like. So let's open it. We're going to click on this side button and look at that. Okay. It created, it added my image, it added my logo. And this is something, I haven't read it all the way, but it's something that I could possibly share with a client. Like if they're wanting to know a little bit about me, my brand, my company, my firm, I can tell them a little bit more of what it is. Now, if I wanted to go more in depth and explain a little bit more and make it more fun, then I would just inside this chat box, I would continue that conversation. But here, I like it. I don't know about y'all, but I think I might just pull this and put it on my website somewhere, like on a hidden page, and share it with people, so that way they can kind of see it. But this is pretty cool, in my opinion. So this is one way that I want y'all to start thinking. Okay, cool. I can use it for my brand voice. It created this whole document that it only took less than 2 minutes to do. Okay. Any questions so far? All right. The next thing I'm going to show, I got 2 more different prompts that I want to kind of walk y'all through, and then I'll open it up for any other questions if y'all have any. If not, then we can continue this conversation later in the group chat. But the next thing I want to share is this. I'm going to expose myself and share everybody. Does y'all's desktop look like this? Anybody's desktop look like this, where it's full of clutter? Okay, I see Lisa laughing. Okay, I see Lisa is part of like, yep. Okay, so one thing that I'm gonna have Claude do, and I'm gonna still stick with CoWork. I can also do this in chat, but I feel CoWork works a little bit easier because it creates folders. Chat, you cannot create folders, but I want to have Claude help me clean up my desktop. So I will share this prompt with y'all, and I am dropping this in the chat as well, because if you're like Lisa and myself and we want to kind of get organized, but we don't have the time to do it, I created a prompt for y'all, and it's the exact same prompt that I'm going to use right now to help me get cleaned up. So if you want to do this in chat, the easiest way in chat, Claude Chat, is coming in here. You can actually start a project. Again, I believe the project piece is part of the pro session. I don't know if the free membership offers that, but if you are a pro, you should see this project, which is the same way. New project, you create a prompt, but we don't need to do all that. We're going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to open up the prompt myself. It's not letting you open it. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I broke it. Okay, give me 1 second. I know I have it somewhere here. I must have broke it myself. Morning recap. All right, thank you for calling that out, because I must have changed the code on the back end and broke it. There it is. Drive. Practice desktop cleanup. Here we go. All right. Thank you for calling that out, Lisa. Let me drop the link in the chat again. Use this link instead, y'all. Okay, and that should open it. Okay. I'll bring the prompt over here so that way we can all see it. So this is just a friendly, quick desktop cleanup to get you organized. One of the key things is not going to delete any files. It's not going to rename any files. It's just going to get you a little bit more organized. So that way it doesn't feel like our world is all over this desktop. I've had situations where I've had client meetings and I've accidentally minimized my entire screen and boom, it shows everything. And the client, I can see their eyes just get like, whoa, what is going on in that house? Right. So this is one that I love because whenever I'm working on something, I take screenshots, it puts it on the desktop. Files, desktop. Then I get organized. So let's go ahead and and I'm going to go over the prompt real quick so that way you know what it's actually doing. So we're going to do the desktop organizer. Its job is to help you clean up the files on the desktop in a safe step-by-step. We're going to move everything into one neat folder structure, flag any possible duplicates, and help me rename my screenshots, right? I'm giving a very specific instruction, just the screenshot, no files, no PDFs, no documents. If it's a screenshot that I took, and finish with a clear report of everything you did. Okay, here are some of the rules. Always ask before you move, copy, rename, or change anything. Show me your plan. Do not move. Do not delete anything. If something is unclear, ask a follow-up question, guessing. And it goes in through all the different steps that I ask you to take. So this is kind of what we're going to talk more about, building your master prompts in our mastering prompt session in the community, because it's all about how you communicate the task that you want Claude to do. So let's go ahead and copy the prompt. So I'm going to go get this prompt. I'm going to copy it. Let's go ahead and plug it into chat. So we're in chat right now. It works in chat and in CoWork, but for chat, plug it in, enter. And here goes. So before I do you want me to call the main cleanup folder? Here's my suggestion. I care less, but since I know it's going to be, I can reference it by the date that I did the cleanup. Or it gives me other reference names, the desktop tidy main. No, I just want to keep it desk cleanup. So let's copy this and paste it in here. Let's see so now it's looking at my desktop. I can minimize this and it's still not moving anything. Right now it's just kind of like going on and it's asking, what is going on here, Jorge? What are you working on here, boss? So it's gonna go back up. Here's what I need from you, quickest way. Okay. That's why, okay. So if I take it a step back, you're gonna have to follow these instructions here. If you're comfortable with terminal, it's super easy, or command, it gives you what to do. So if you're on a Windows computer, it's called command. If you are on a Mac computer, it's called terminal. Usually you don't have to do this if you're using CoWork, because now CoWork knows how to drill down, but chat's a little bit different. So we're just gonna have to follow the instructions. And Claude is really good in giving you step-by-step instructions on how to do things, that if you're not unsure where things live, just tell it, where is my command? Where is my terminal? And it gives you instructions. But because I already have terminal here on my desktop, because I use it frequently, I'm gonna go ahead and just copy it, come in here and paste it. And that's pretty much it. And I say, I'll tell it done. And I apologize if y'all hear the background noise. Let's see here. I think you got put. I can run this instead of the cleaner first. Okay. Okay. So in this scenario, I don't want to confuse everybody and get everybody scared of using terminal. So I'm going to step away from it. Let's go to the CoWork version. I'm going to create a new task, because I feel that if I confuse y'all, I don't want y'all to get scared of using it, and it may not work the way you guys want. So I'm going to go into CoWork, copy the same prompt. Okay, now we're going to let it do its analyzing real quick. Oh, shoot, I copied the brand voice. My apologies. My desktop. Here we go. I was asking, like, why are you asking me who I am and what do I do? That's local. There we go. I copied the right prompt. Okay. Again, asking me the same question. What do you want to name the folder? I am cool with desktop cleanup and today's date. Okay, here we go. In the meantime, while we wait, has anybody found some of the information that we're sharing useful? Do you see how it could possibly start working the automation and the workflow into your firm? If you have questions of something that you want to see specifically, please let me know. But I'm curious to know is what we're going over is defining, is it useful for y'all? Do you kind of see the flow of how you can incorporate it into your daily use? Okay, now it's asking me desktop. It's asking me where do I want, what's the location? Of course, it's the desktop. So I'm going to hit allow. Okay. See, in the meantime, drink some coffee, some water, get a stretch in. Okay, so one of the things that I asked it to do is just kind of give me a quick recap. What is your game plan here? What are you doing? And it analyzed what was on my desktop. It says you have 113 images. The PNGs are pretty much like either screenshots or photos. How many PDFs, videos, documents, etc. And then from there, it's giving me the next step. Hey, I'm going to create these. Oh, it's actually saying there's these other folders on your desktop. I will leave these alone unless you say otherwise. So I don't want it to touch none of those folders. I only want the loose files. And it says you have, and it adds a quick note. I want you, you have 30 files that's shared with screenshots. Let's start with screenshots. 53 more files that look like screenshots. So it's kind of giving me really a detailed breakdown that you can just kind of look and analyze. And I'm okay with it because I know what's in there. So I'm going to say continue. But of course, I want you to make sure you clearly understand what it's doing first before it starts moving around files. Because if you're not used to, you're used to seeing your desktop and knowing where a specific file on your desktop is, and all of a sudden it's moved to this one folder and you don't know where it's at. I don't want anybody to freak out and think it got deleted or Claude broke it. It's just making sure that we know that it's moving everything into your folder. And as it's working, I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this here for a second. So what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at the different folders that I have here currently. And I haven't seen it created. And the other thing that you gotta do from time to time, you gotta look at Claude because it will ask you for approval on certain tasks. So if it's not giving you, if it's not moving forward, it's probably waiting on you to say, hey, do you approve this step? Do you approve me to do whatever change you're asking me to do? It's not gonna do it on its own. Let's see here. Looks good. So it asked me, does this structure look good? I kind of gave it a quick recap, basically telling me what it's gonna do. And I told it looks good, let's move forward. And do you want me to add, rename, or remove any folders? I said, looks good. So, and now it's building. Okay. So while we wait, Lisa, how's this working for you? How's it looking so far?
I love it. I like what I see there. On mine, I'm not doing it quite yet because I'm still in that other mode. You know, it gave me my brand, whatever, and
Okay.
someone's
Okay.
trying to access my link account. I'm dealing with that right now.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah,
Oh,
this is really good because mine is a hot mess and I save it like immediately. I know where to go and I save it to my desktop. So that made sense. Totally. It made a lot of sense. So thank you for sharing.
of course, of course. What about you, Julia? I know you've been working with it. I know you mentioned that you're on the pro version as well. Have you tried to do something similar with CoWork? Because I know once we start getting into the sessions, I really want everybody to start really applying what we're teaching, just because we're going to want to start seeing that step by step process, so that way y'all can really understand what it's doing. Okay, here it's saying, okay, done. Here's the move recap. So it basically is telling me the same thing. It's what I like about it, Lisa, is that it keeps telling me and reiterating some of what I'm already doing. And I'm also seeing here the progress on the far right on my screen here, where I can see where in the step it currently is. So right now it's finding all the duplicates. So the step 4 is already completed. So it built the folder and moved the file. So if I minimize this, my desktop should be clean. Wow.
What does it do with the duplicates?
So one of the tasks in my instructions is I asked it to, if you find any duplicate files, so if I have a PDF that's Jorge PDF1 and then Jorge PDF2, which is the same exact file, it creates a duplicate folder where it moves the duplicate files into that specific folder. So it doesn't throw everything into the same folder in the mix, because that kind of defeats the purpose of what it's doing. So since we're trying to clean up, the main thing is like, if I have files that are the same files on my desktop or in my documents, or specifically like in my download files, because I download so many things, I could run the same prompt and tell it, hey, my downloads, I don't want to delete everything in my downloads because there's still files that I need. But I'm very prone to doing this. Like I download one file, a PDF, and then I can't remember, did I download that PDF? I go and download it again. And it creates version 2 of that same PDF. So it really gathers all that information and just kind of moves it into a separate folder, in which I'll dive into that folder here. The next step is asking to rename the screenshots. So it's asking me, how would I like to have them renamed? I'm just going to go ahead and just do option A, rename them all to a clean pattern, and it gives me a description on how it's going to look. So I'm just going to go with option A. And if I dive into that folder is right here in my desktop cleanup 2026-05-07. If I open it up, and I'll expand this one a little bit more. I created the subfolders. I created all the subfolders, and it has the documents, the duplicates to review. Like we mentioned earlier, when you ask, what is it doing with the duplicates? It puts it in a folder for duplicates to review. So it could be these files, like I probably have this support session image somewhere in here. If I go into other images, and it's right there. See, so it really just grabbed the same image and it says, hey, dude, you got 2 of these files. Let me put this one over here. And this is pretty much about the same thing, right? So if I have a screenshot that this or any other screenshots, it's probably living in here somewhere. And there's the one that it duplicated earlier. So that's what it does when it's creating those duplicate folder files. Let's see the next step. Okay, so now it's telling me, okay, I've renamed everything. It gives me what it used to look like and what it's currently look like. And now I just basically have a clean layout of all my files. I skipped 8 of these files. Okay, on the desktop folder, the hidden files. Okay, which is fine. So really, all it does is give you a quick recap of what I did, and then it gives you suggestions like, hey, I'll open up the duplicate reviews, add, delete, and delete or keep each file. Once you're happy with the folder, can go to the trash. So that's kind of like the power of that one prompt that I shared, that you can use, once you move on to the next step, right? As far as the what to do with the next step, right? We went over brand voice. Now we're cleaning up your desktop, and I think that's pretty much it. What I have for today. Any questions that I can help answer while we're still here? Anything that you want to see tested out, Lisa? Because my next step is going to be to go into those folders itself and start cleaning up the junk, the clutter. Like, I already know what's in here. I purposely left all these files here for the demo, but all of this is ready to get deleted anyway. So I didn't want to delete it before I shared this with y'all. So hopefully, once you finish your brand voice, you can actually, move on to the next part of the testing and try out and see if you can play with this on your own.